Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Corporate Podcast. Just a quick one from me. We've got no Louise and no Monica with us today, but we do have a dear friend of mine who's joined us today, who's going to become one of our new trustees. So, Steve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. Dear friend.
Dear friends, yeah.
Thanks very much. I've actually become a trustee the last 2 or 3 months. Very, very privileged to get asked. And I think the main reason I was asked was I have a background in mental health. Everybody probably knows in Pure already there's a lot of work for people's mental health. And the feeling was, I think, amongst other trustees and the board directors that we were a bit light. So I've worked in Stockport for 30 years and I've got over 35 years worth of mental health work as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, and hopefully that'll help me to bring something to the table. It was a no-brainer to me because I also have the privilege of having my stepdaughter come to Pure. So she has learning difficulties and has a fabulous time. Love the organisation, and can't wait to get stuck in really and help out in any way.
Lovely. So you've pretty much answered Nick's question, but Nick, do you want to ask it anyway?
What made you want to become a trustee?
Well, that's a really, really good question, Nick, because ultimately it comes from the heart, I think, wanting to do something. And I've got a passion for it. I love Pure. I'm looking forward to finding out more about it. And hopefully I can serve all the young people and all my colleagues and be of value. That's why.
Lovely. So, Pete, you mentioned that Louise had some questions.
I've got some question time again.
Let's go.
So it's just what's your first impressions of Pure? What have you kind of experienced in your first couple of months and what are you looking forward to doing moving forward?
Well, I already had an impression because of Lily coming here for the last 4 years. And so where we're sat here in Greyhorse, I've been here many, many times. Also, Vernon Calf, and also upstairs at Vernon, Burnington. I'm going to Constal on and off for many years. I've been to the Calf there. Used to get bread and stuff from the...
You know a bit.
Everything.
That's before I became a trustee. So
Yeah.
But I think what that shows is that Pure is part of Stockport.
Yeah.
So, if you're bobbing about in Stockport, then you tend to meet people who work and volunteer or young folk going to Pure activities. I've never been in any of those places and come away thinking, I wish I hadn't. I've always gone in, people are smiling, the vibe is good, the products are good, the whole thing is good. And since I've joined, I'm not sure I've learnt anything more. What has happened is I haven't learnt anything to make those impressions any different.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then do you think there's any kind of amazing or kind of trends around health and well-being or mental health and things that we can be looking at to do as a service or we should be kind of aware of that's coming in the future?
Well, all my working life's been in the NHS. Never done any private work. And the interesting thing about the NHS is it's only about 15 years ago, which might sound like a long time, but it's not really, that it got interested in well-being. So really, it'd be better called the National Illness Service, because if you think about it, if you go to a doctor, you go and you're ill, something's already happened. And it's only been the last 15 years or so that it's got its act together in time to prevent people getting ill. And all the modern kind of driving towards how we can get better well-being, how we can be resilient, how we can be kind and compassionate to one another. This is quite modern. It's only really been part of the NHS or within the NHS's remit for the last 10 or 15 years. And it's accelerating like that. And I've always been very interested in it. First time I did a talk on wellbeing was about 25 years ago. So the short answer is there will be more of trying to become involved in keeping people well, enabling people to look after themselves well, which is often called self-care, and leading a good, kind, compassionate life. Because there's tons of evidence to show that what makes us happy and content in our lives are when we're kind and compassionate with other people.
Good. Cheers, Steve.
Beautiful. I mean, while we're on there, Pete, is there anything that you want to mention yourself?
In general?
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah, okay. There is actually. So, recently, as of last week, the trustees have just signed up for us doing some work around our electric vehicle charging points. So, a really good start for us. So, in the coming weeks, we'll be getting some charging points at Prospect House, and me and Stuart will start looking at the vehicle fleet and looking to evolve that in the future to look at our emissions. One of the things it's interesting because there's a bit of synergy between what Steve's done and actually what Kev's been working on in the last couple of weeks, and that is the way things are happening and being shared around the business. So I think it's a good example of this time. So the new bus terminals are up in Stockport, everywhere you look, it's everyone going on about it. And one of the really nice things about that is the Pure Kitchen gave the buffet for that. Went there, served the buffet, did the buffet, and that came from a link from, I think it was Caroline Morgan in our internships. And Kev is, not seen any of Kev's done, but really keen for kind of these relationships and synergies to be passed around to help build relationships and things like that. So I think that's a really good example of things that have, kind of gone on in the business, or certainly the kind of the bits that I look at and Kev's working with me on. So I think there's some really good reflections there. And I think the other thing, just to touch on really, to highlight it, because there will be some kind of information going on about this, is just choking. So a while ago there was quite a severe choking incident in another service, and it's just really to highlight this to people around our pure support staff, our college staff, our catering staff, and all the key people in the business do first aid training, whether that's a 1-day course or a 3-day course. And that focuses on choking and what you should do in choking incidents. And I think it's just really key when things like this happen, sometimes just to stick it back in people's mind and keep things fresh. You often hear about, if people have heart attacks and all this type of thing, and doing the beat to that song, which has now gone on my head. Steve will probably remind me, but
Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees, Staying Alive, that's the one, isn't it? And it's just key just to get that message out there, just so people start thinking about it. Think about your areas of work, think about choking risks in your areas of work, and think about some of the times the people that we support, go through different phases of life, and they may at some point struggle with their eating and drinking, and there's places we can put referrals into that, like the kind of social work teams. And it's all about, as well as pure having a health and safety responsibility to its staff and its clients and anyone else, our staff also have a health and safety responsibility to report things. So it's just making sure we've got that two-way street of communication, really. And it's always right to raise something. People should always feel I can say something, I can tell my manager something, because it's best to talk about these and discuss it. So I just wanted to highlight that here. There will be other bits of communication that go out, but that's all from me, mate.
Right, sweet. So next, I suppose I'll go from people that have not got much down on a piece of paper. So Kevin, is there anything that you'd like to talk about at the moment? Anything that...
I think Pete touched on it before. I've been in now, 3 months now. We start seeing the great things we can achieve over the next 12 months, especially with the employers. Not common employers, more common partnerships we've got with these people. And it's just the opportunity we've got. It's some exciting times coming, personally, I feel. Just even offerings for our staff, these companies want to give us, and about what we can offer them and stuff they can offer us. Because I think the staff don't realise what a great job they do. I think they just continue to do the job, and actually sometimes, I've come in and seen everywhere I look and see people doing fantastic work. So there's a big piece about staff appreciation coming as well. So probably update next time on that one. But the company do want to say, take a breath and say thank you to everyone. So watch this space for Louise's return.
Excellent. So I'll move on to Stuart next. I feel like this is probably a question for you. So Chris, do you want to ask yours, mate?
Yeah. So far this year, how is the company getting on?
Okay, well, there is some good news there, Chris, in the sense that we have been profitable month on month, and that achievement compared with what the position has been in the past. So I've been going around the business for the last month, talking, it seems almost incessantly, to folks about how we've moved from where we were in 2017 to where we are today. And I'm not going to repeat all that, people will be glad to hear, other than just touch on back in 2017, the company was losing quite a lot of money. And we had to do certain things sort of very quickly at that stage. And then other things have kind of happened over the last 6 or 7 years.
Can I just add to that? During the pandemic, how did you carry on during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, we did reasonably well. There was a strange situation where providers like ourselves were actually getting lots of requests and people wanted to throw money at us to make sure that the service was kept open. So unlike some businesses who really struggled during the pandemic, we didn't. We were one of the lucky ones, and we came out of the pandemic stronger financially than when we entered it. And that's been part of our journey over the course of the last 6 or 7 years, that we've grown in turnover, we've become a profitable business. And that's despite the fact that some of our pay rates have increased considerably, which is the other kind of thing I just want to touch on. At the last podcast, I teased our listeners about an update to staff pay, which wasn't an update at all. But since then, Lou's communicated what that is. And so for those on the real living wage, we're now paying, or be paying from the 1st of April, £12 an hour. For those who are on a comparator, there is £1.10p per hour increase. And for the rest of the staff, there's been 3%. Now, just to go back to 2017, for a moment, the rate of pay then for people who are going to be on £12 an hour from the 1st of April was £7.20 an hour. So that's a 66% increase in 7 years, which is a very substantial position. And given that we've moved from loss-making to profitability, it shows that the underlying nature of the business has improved quite considerably. And we can afford to pay the £12 an hour, I'm glad to say, and we will see what we can do about that going forward. So the overall position is a lot more sound than it has been, and we are looking to grow the business more and establish its strong foundations even more than we've got today.
Okay, so next, I think that's it actually, apart from Amanda. So Amanda, you wanted to talk about Ofsted and student recruitment?
Yes, that's all right. Hello everyone. Okay, I feel like I need a drum roll really. So we've had Ofsted at the college. Thank you very much. So as everybody will be very familiar with Ofsted, it's obviously been in the press quite a lot recently as well, but as a new college provider, you get a visit within the first 18 months of opening to ensure that obviously you are under scrutiny, to ensure that you are on track to achieve and that you are obviously delivering high quality education. So thankfully my colleagues at the college were a lot calmer than I was when we got the call. But we had 2 inspectors in for 2 days on the 6th and 7th of March. And as a new provider, they're not looking, it's not a full inspection, they're looking at 3 very critical areas of delivery. One being safeguarding, one being around the designing and delivery of learning programmes that meet need, and the third one is around quality. So over those couple of days, they met with students and staff, did lots of visits, and really, like I say, scrutinised our curriculum and our safeguarding. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback. So on theme 1, which was around the kind of like tailoring the curriculum, we got that there was clear rationale at the college, close relationships with employers, a well thought through curriculum, and although there's monitoring of provision in place, it's too early to measure impact, but they do feel that there is a lot of continuous improvement going on, and staff are well qualified and experienced. And on theme 2, which was about high quality, they put that students recognise the benefits of placements, that baseline assessments of learners need improving, setting and measuring personal targets are not yet effective. So again, that's around we're doing that, but about the evidence of that. Students were happy and enjoying being there, and staff felt supported by leaders, and leaders were being responsive. And then on the third theme, which was around safeguarding, it said there were vigorous checks of staff, DSLs are experienced and qualified, and concerns are dealt with skillfully and effectively. So that's just a couple of the highlights, if you like. The full report is actually available online for you to have a read from if you are interested. What that means is we got reasonable progress in all areas, which we're delighted about because that's what we're aiming for. And that means we will get a full inspection within the next 18 months now. So, and what it's also done is generate a really clear action plan of the things that we now need to do. And there was no surprises. And I think if you can sit back and listen and get feedback, and there isn't any surprises on the areas of improvement, and there's already a plan in place, that's nothing but encouraging that we're on the right track. So I was delighted, and I wanted to take the opportunity to thank all the college staff and the students. As you can imagine, it was a really intense and quite stressful week with lots of hard work. But we pulled together in the team, and I'm really incredibly proud of everyone. So that's Ofsted. I've made it sound like it was a joy, it wasn't. And then the only thing I was going to talk about was people might have seen the campaign around kind of promoting the college to get more places. So we are increasing the provision slightly to 34 places. So we've been doing quite a few open days and trying to generate more referrals. Well, I think when we look at where we were 12 months ago, we've now had over 50 referrals to the college, and we've only got 16 spaces left, 16 spaces in its entirety, because young people are already progressing through the college, if that makes sense. So that's, I think, is fantastic that word of mouth is out there now with the college. People know that we're there. We've got really strong relationships with feeder schools and colleges, which means that we can make sure that the young people that join our college are the right young people with that aspiration for employment or are wanting to explore what their career options can be in the future. We predicted the largest referrals will be for the internship, which is actually what's happened. So again, it's about making sure the market intelligence we've got is correct. And we've progressed to 25 to interview. So I've got a feeling we're going to be in a bit of a tricky situation of making some hard choices over the next couple of months. But we are still accepting referrals. So if you do know anybody, please feel free to come our way. And that's everything from me. Thank you.
Lovely. Right, so has anyone else got anything that they want to touch on? Right, so we've got these 3 questions here. I saved these for last because I feel like anyone could probably answer them. I wasn't too sure on if it was specific. So we'll start with Ashkan. Do you want to ask yours, mate?
Are you going to be attending the Access Festival, and are you going to dress up?
Well, that's a question for Harry, obviously.
Well, everyone knows I'll be dressing up. I dressed, as you know, me and Joe last time dressed up in skirts and an all-girls school uniform.
And this time?
Secret, actually. Me and Joe have decided to keep it a secret, but it's going to be fabulous. Although the question wasn't meant for me, it was meant for everyone else.
I won't be there, sorry. I'm socially awkward in parties, Ashkan. I don't like them. And because I live in Liverpool, I always use that as an excuse to get home. So I have to travel 50 miles back the other way quickly. So I definitely won't be there. And I don't think I've dressed up since I was very young, because I'm very boring.
I'm going to assume you're all going to be there, Steve.
I'm going to be there. Lulu will be there. Julie will be there.
Everyone will be there.
Eden, I think. Yeah.
Are we all dressing up? Flower power?
I will be there. I've not decided what I'm dressing up.
Ooh.
Is that the thing?
Flower power. I think 60s, 70s flower
Just got me an old
power thing.
Yeah, just gets out of a wardrobe.
I actually still need to order my costume. Ah, well, it'll be fabulous. Right. Sarah, do you want to ask yours?
Yeah. Are there any interest trips coming up that we don't know about yet?
Any trips that we can talk about or any plans for trips?
Don't do any trips. I don't do any plans. The one thing I've actually mentioned to CAF today, which people would find extremely boring, but I was on a call with some technology people again, and they were talking about 3D printing. So when we started talking about 3D printing, I started thinking about our art projects, the things that you make. I started thinking about animation and the things they do there. So Kath will be speaking to someone around doing some research in relation to 3D printing, because I think there's definitely a growing market there. It might be an expensive one, but Stuart doesn't mind that. So, yeah, let's see. But in terms of projects and trips, I don't know. What was the last one you went on? Because I'm not too sure.
Yours was the band one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did that Stockport music tour?
There's a Strawberry Studios.
Yeah?
Strawberry Studios
Was
and
it
all
good?
Well, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Fantastic.
So how much does a market cost?
How much does a market cost? How do you mean?
No, I mean that market.
Oh, do you mean like the stock market?
Stock market, yeah.
Or whatever, what were we on about? The market, like with Stuart?
With Stuart, I know I'm talking about 3D printing. Don't ask me about finance, I'm rubbish. Stuart will also say I'm rubbish at finance. Any finance related questions, Stuart. Well, maybe just don't tell them, we'll just do it. Tell them later.
You heard it there first.
Right, and then now before we started, Pete seemed to feel there was an agenda on him that he was being set up because our own Louise is wearing a United shirt, and obviously we kind of guess who Pete supports. So, Louise, do you want to ask your question?
To do with football, do you like any football? If so, do you support United?
So, who supports who? Who likes football? Who supports who? Pete, you go first.
So I am a Liverpool fan. And
Boo!
I go to every game, and apart from away games. And what I would say, so I have worked for the company for about 13 years, and I've worked at Stockport for about 11 of those. I don't mention football. You are all ganging up on me. Because I don't engage in these conversations.
That was her question, not mine.
Although I also believe there might be some Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday banter that happens.
Well, Reece isn't here today, but Steve has brought his owlness.
The football banter.
And I shared it with him, but the very first football game I went to was Everton.
Boo!
When I lived in Liverpool before we moved to Sheffield. Yeah, but I'm a Wednesday night. Yeah.
Chris, you're a big county fan, aren't you? You do your county show every week.
I do, yeah.
That goes up on YouTube. Everybody who's listening, go
Yeah.
watch it. Yeah, you quite enjoy doing that, don't
I
you?
do, very, very much so. Yes, it's very enjoyable. I enjoy doing it. It's a breath of fresh air.
It's a breath of fresh air. Kevin,
I'm a United fan, but I can't talk about football. Monday, a certain person in the room told me don't talk about football, so I'm not talking about football.
Nick,
I support Stockport County.
Well done.
brothers, you're quite a few, aren't you? You're Liverpool, Blackburn. I can't even remember all the others. Well, they're all for their own reasons, aren't
City
they?
as well.
City as well, yeah. Well, of course, who wouldn't? Stuart, are you a football man?
Not really. My sport's rugby league, which is
Rugby
far better. Far better. I've been a long-standing supporter of Oldham through many years of being thin and thinner. And I've got to say, I'm more optimistic at the moment than I've been in my lifetime.
No, fair enough.
Some new owners who came in about 12 months ago, and they've changed things dramatically. And the times might be 3 or 4 years off yet, but
It's getting there, isn't it?
it might be not just thin and thinner. It might be just a little bit of
What's the coldest ground in the country? Watershedding's Oldham Rugby League.
Yes, it Boundary Park is not far behind in that sphere, but Watershedding's, yes, used to be the highest sporting ground in the United Kingdom that was used on a regular basis. And it was bitterly cold in the summer.
In the summer. Amanda? You
So I'm not really particularly a football fan, but my whole family are Blues. So my
Yes! Get in!
And what I would say when I was growing up, my dad used to look at the suitability of my boyfriends based on what
Brilliant.
Blues.
Right, I think that's it. That's definitely it for me. Is everyone all right? Nothing else to ask you? Right, excellent. So I think. Oh yeah, go on. Yeah, go on quick.
Yes, but Manchester United like
Boo! There we go. Podcast over. Right, let's stop now. We're all done. Right.